Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is DJ I'm a Korea Track Camp ENT, and today we are going to be talking about this right here. And this is Dune 2, and this is the part 3 of the Dune 2 tutorials. This very short video so that everybody will be able to watch it in due time and just maybe want to watch certain parts and learn about it. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the filters in this main area right here, this filter area right here, this filter section. And I'm gonna do a slight correction to the last video because I've already have messed up just a tad bit, just not too much, but I'm going to go ahead and take care of that right now. We're gonna talk about actually how ring modulation and how it theoretically works in Dune 2, and theoretically in Dune 2, and I'm gonna go ahead and just select a VA, which is virtual analog, and I'm gonna select the triangle. So basically, if you have a triangle in oscillator 1. You can see that the triangle is shaped like this. So what's going to happen essentially is when you go to oscillator 2, and you see that you have a square, and I'm going to play and then I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to select a voice, and I am going to turn the oscillator up and then turn this oscillator down. And I'm gonna go back to this because so when you turn up the ring modulation, something cool happens. Now I'm gonna turn it down and see how. Now I'm gonna turn it up, and as I'm playing the note, as you can see, the oscillator 2 is taking on the shape of oscillator 1 right here. So it's basically a triangle. Well, it's basically a sawtooth being played while through the triangle. So it's in this shape. And if you go a little bit more and you add more voices, and I'm gonna spread it a little bit. Maybe just go ahead and bring it up an octave. So, you have that. You see, that sound is very, very interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn down the ring modulation right here. And let's move it up. That might be something that you want to keep in mind for later when we get into the actual my matrix, this middle part here that I'm circling around right now, because there is some interesting fun can be had when you actually start doing some modifications to your sound and using the ring modulation. I made the ring modulation. So now. So now that we have this crazy sound, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the ring on. And I'm going to add some more voices to that. Maybe, yeah, I'm going to add more voices. And so, now that we have that going on. Sorry, I was having a little fun here. Let's talk about the filter section. Now, the filter section is derived of a couple of things that are very, very interesting. So you have, and I gotta move this over a little bit. So we have several choices there. We have a whole bunch of low passes, which are clean. This CL means for clean. Stands for clean. You have 3 low passes, so you have this low pass here. And so you will notice that it's not playing anything at all right now, or there's no effect to the sound. The reason why that is because you have to adjust the cutoff. The cutoff, what the cutoff essentially does is move the frequency from its normal standpoint all the way over to the lowest end of the actual frequency, which will sound like this. So, in low passes, that will be, it going from right or right to left. So yeah, because as you know, the lowest frequencies are, just like basses and stuff like that. So removing the mids and highs. So now let's talk about band passes. I'm just doing general overview over the filters. So you have a band pass. So the band pass is like this shape right here. Let me see. Band pass. Band passes are represented like this right here. So all your mid, your low, and your high frequencies are cut down like this. So when it's at its highest representation in this cutoff area, you notice that, and you'll notice that it gives a sweeping effect. Now, get a high pass. The high pass would be like this right here. So basically, this is a good representation. Now I could go back and show you what, see if I can actually do it on here. So this is basically what a low pass looks like right here. And what it's doing is moving itself like this. It will cut out more of its frequency, and I can just roll that right there and flatten. It moves like this, that would be the low. And then the high frequency will be the exact opposite of that, right? It'll be represented like this. Ooh, I don't know what I did. Oh, I just added the limiter. Anyways, like that. It would look like that. So that's basically what those are. Just in case if you're just really, really new to sound design. So, let's go to the high pass. As you see here, absolutely, positively nothing. Well, make sure, turn that off. So you hear absolutely, ooh, goodness gracious. Don't mind me, guys. Jittery fingers. Yeah. So we're going back to that. As you can see, now it's only playing the highs. The highs and mids. And basses. That's a pretty cool sweep sound. And run a representation of resonance. Resonance is usually a peak. And this is what a resonance means. So when you guys are out there and y'all saying y'all need more highs, you want to blow somebody away about your knowledge of music, say I need more resonance in the mids. I guarantee you get a lot more respect in the studios. Some people might even know what the heck you're talking about. But yeah, so resonance, it adds itself. So if you was in the low area and you added resonance to a low filter, it'll look like that. If you needed if you did it at a band pass, it'll look like that, depending on how you move in the cutoff position. And then in a high one, and I did the wrong one. Resonance to be like that. So what does that significantly do? It adds actually more color to the actual sound. And by more color, I mean it adds more frequencies to that part of the spectrum, as far as maybe the mids or so. And depending on where you cut it off, it will give a pretty good effect. So. As you can see, you can hear more of a saturated tone. Almost like it's talking. So that's basically how wall guitars kind of work in a nutshell. You can actually kind of hear that. Yeah, so, And then you have your transistor ladder, as you can see. Your transistor ladder has pretty unique tones versus the clean multi mode filters. It is worth noting that this is one of the few areas that one of the many areas that you can assign to different pages or timbres. Boom, boom. Pardon me. Still fighting next cold a week later. So, and then you have your acid low pass. Which comes in handy when you're making an acid base. And also, coincidentally, if you want to add more drive, kind of works in a sense of like as like volume as like a volume control, how loud or low. And then you have your key tracking, which does a better job of spreading your actual EQ areas better than they normally would in terms of well, I'm gonna see if I can explain it. Evenly spreading the actual EQ or your filters to each individual note in different octaves. So let me see. We can talk about effects. So now that we have that, we have different effects that you can apply to these areas as well, as far as your filter section, which once again you can use that per timbre, per page, per layer, however you like to say it, which is light distortion, which you can adjust the amount, and the cutoff, and then you have hard distortion, or whoops, I'm on fold back. Then you have fold back, like I was saying. Kind of interesting. Bit crush. Kind of adds noise to your individual into your waveform. Hopefully y'all can hear that. Getting kind of Nintendo-y with that one. Fractal. Half fractal. Full right. Well, my fault. Half rectangle. So, and such. Go to comb. I want to hear how comb sounds like in this. Yeah, but so yeah, you get a lot of filter options in terms of this right here. This is the filter section. That you'll learn pretty much when you learn the mod matrix, which is where all the real magic happens in sound design. You will see just like different ways that you get different kind of alterations or different artifacts to your additional artifacts to your sound that you have already designed from the oscillator. So yeah, and then control the certain artifacts as well, such as sweeping and such. Yeah, but that's basically it. The filter section, I didn't think it was going to take that long, but you know, filtering in general, when you're talking about sound design or just even the basics of it, does affect a lot of what you're doing as far as you creating your sound in sound for your song or whatever. You know, it's just very, very apparent, no matter what type of music that you do. So, yeah, that was ring modulation and filters. The next section I'm going to talk about. The next section I'm going to talk about. The next one I'll be talking about will be the FX buses. You have FX bus 1 and FX bus 2. So yeah, tune into that. I'm going to take a little quick break, grown up break real quick. And yeah, I'll be back to you for part 3 or 4. I forget. But all right, this is your boy DJ McCree, and I'll be right back.